Well, good morning and welcome to Friday morning. Let's see, it's the 6th of October, 2023. That's what it is here, and I assume it is where you are too. Let's forget the frippery and get on with the serious stuff, because death stalks the headlines again this morning. And again, it is the medical profession that is grabbing the headlines as nurses are accused of murder in a northern England hospital. And this seems to be a recurring theme, doesn't it? Nurses get up to tricks for a variety of reasons. This time, it is said, or she is quoted as saying that if they drugged up patients, then they could have a nice, quiet time instead of having to look after those difficult patients who always wanted something, particularly, I suppose, in the middle of the night. So that is the main story, and it's a pretty fierce one. So perhaps without more ado, because we have coming up a good lineup for you today. We've got the two Bs again in 30 minutes or so. And the morning is capped off with Melissa from New York, letting us know what's happening over there, because Joe Biden seems to be making a lot of mistakes. And Donald Trump, despite the efforts of the state to put him into the Hooskow, he looks as if he just might turn out to be the winner past the post. It's very difficult to say. But anyway, that's the Northerners. And let's get the details, shall we? Yeah. The Guardian. Well, we're not going to start with that. We're going to start with the. We're going to start with the nurse's story, because it looks like it might be an exclusive to strange enough, it's the one that's been put up last on the BBC's roundup. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. How could they do this? I might have to read it raw, then make my own column. Nurses drugged stroke patients for an easy life. A pair of dangerous and callous nursing staff who drugged and ill-treated patients in a stroke unit were yesterday warned they faced jail. Kathleen Hudson was convicted of sedating victims, in some cases to keep them quiet and keep them quiet and compliant, and in others out of spite. The 54-year-old senior nurse drugged two patients for an easy life at the unit, which was described as having described as having a culture of abuse in April 2017 and November 2018. She swapped vile messages with her partner in crime, Charlotte Wilmot, including one in which Hudson boasted of sedating an elderly patient to within an inch of her life. Oh, dear. Pretty naughty stuff there, I think. And I think perhaps the two V's might want to comment upon that when they come on this morning. Pretty nasty stuff. And let's go to the other papers now, because it's a widespread series of headlines. Right, the Guardian this morning tops the list. Scientists stunned by planet's record September heat. The headline is out of control. September 2023 was the warmest on record. A climate researcher says, I'm still struggling to comprehend how a single year can jump so much compared to previous years. So real worry about the heat, which we've all been expressing, I think. But the main headline is the Starmer must be bold, urges the team from Labour 1997, who won the election that year. Climate concerns appear on some of Friday's front pages, with the Guardian warning scientists are stunned by last month's figures. September 2023 beat the previous record for that month by 0.5 degrees centigrade, the largest jump in temperature ever seen, it says. The paper also carries an exclusive of key figures from ex-Prime Minister Tony Blair's 1997 campaign, warning Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer to be bold if he wants to win the next general election. The new HS2 plan is in doubt 24 hours after Sunak's speech. Red October is how the Eye sums up the weather, with the added warning that experts believe this autumn could end up being the hottest on record, after the warmest July, August, and September ever. Elsewhere, there are reports that the HS2 rail project may never reach Euston without private funding. The paper says Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is freshly announced. Network North plans are already in doubt. That's 24 hours after his Conservative Party conference speech, in which he said he was going to dump it. For all intents and purposes, dump it. The Times. Sunak and Italian PM urge Europe to follow their lead on migration. The main story, though, is that CBS calls for clemency over mercy killing cases. A number of the papers carry images of Catherine, Princess of Wales, the patron of the Rugby Football League, joining the England wheelchair rugby team for a practice session in Hull. Give it a try is the Times caption, but the paper's main focus is one of its own articles written by Mr. Sunak and his Italian counterpart, Giorgia Meloni, in which they call for all European leaders to allow or to show the same sense of urgency as they are in tackling illegal migration. The key theme, is taken over all deliberations by some countries, particularly those vulnerable to illegal migrants, particularly. The Metro, Ashley shooting trial, Grasso row machine, gun hit. What's that all about? Council worker murdered her home as drug rivals. The council worker murdered in her home as drug rivals sought revenge over music festival fight. The Princess of Wales is how the Metro describes Catherine's rugby game, adding that she is a natural at the sport. The paper's main slot is dedicated to a trial taking place after the shooting of Ashley Dale, an innocent woman who was gunned down in her home because her boyfriend humiliated a rival gangster at the Glastonbury Festival. I think they are too. Right. So I hope you, after I badly read that story, I hope that you understood it. Ashley Dale, we remember she is the girl that was gunned down in her home. It was an innocent woman because she was gunned down because her boyfriend humiliated a rival gangster at the Glastonbury Festival. Oh, okay. The Daily Telegraph. Starmer will not bring HS2 back to life. Catherine is credited for being a good sport by the Daily Telegraph. The main story is about Keir Starmer abandoning Labour's 2019 manifesto pledge to complete HS2 in full, after he said he would stick to Mr. Sunak's new plans if elected. So Keir is quoted as saying to News that the Tories have taken a wrecking ball to the project and he cannot pledge to simply reverse it. Daily Express. Right behind you, sir. Ritz back quitting the Euro Court. The Daily Express has the same idea as the Metro, dubbing Catherine the Princess of Wales. It adds that the senior royal has proved she's a trier. Home Secretary Suella Braverman is the main focus of the paper's front pages, with a poll by the New Conservatives Parliamentary Group, which reported to have found that 54% of adults in the UK are back pulling out of the European Court of Human Rights, something Ms. Braverman has signalled she would like us to do. The FT. Metro offers rivals a slice of mortgage book in a bid to shore up the balance sheet. A deadly Russian attack on Ukraine leads Friday's Financial Times, with dozens reported to have been killed, including children, after a Russian rocket came down on a village where locals had gathered after a funeral. Elsewhere, and for a second day running, the business paper has a report on Metro Bank, which it says is sounding out rivals about buying a third of its mortgage book to help bolster its balance sheet. The Daily Mirror. Award winners revealed. Our pride. Of Britain. Pride of Britain. Pride of Britain is the Daily Mirror's main headline, alongside the news that the rugby league legend Rob Burrow and his wife Lindsay are to be honoured at the famous annual Pride of Britain Awards. The couple helped to raise more than £13 million to fight motor neuron disease after Rob was diagnosed in 2019. Daily Star. What's he going to do for us today? I hope he's going to put us in a better mood. I'm very lethargic. It's TJAF all over. Yeah. And actually, I didn't do a heck of a lot. Well, I did. I was at home for most of yesterday afternoon and evening. I'm feeling very, very draggy this morning. Very draggy indeed. The Star. Average Brit now has just 3.7 true friends. I knew it. It goes off. It's I'm happy with the 3, but it's the 0.2. It always seems to be getting in the way. Rise and rise of the Billy No Mates, and 1 in 10 doesn't have a single pal. The Daily Star reports on research suggesting the average Briton now has just 3.7 true friends. It says this is a 27-degree drop in the last decade. It's even sadder, it goes on. 1 in 10 of us has no mates at all. Oh, dear. Wow. So those are the headlines, the front pages. A real mixture. But the one that really disturbs me is the nurses killing, particularly those who are in very bad shape. But if I was lying in a hospital bed and I got the nurse there, I would want to think that she was there not to murder me, but to actually help me, because I was in need of her kindness, her compassion. There we go. Let's take a look at the weather. Oh, today is going to be sunny, 20 degrees. Yes, a nice day, and only a moderate breeze. So once again, we're enjoying a late summer. And right now it is 16 degrees, mostly cloudy. But that cloud is going to lift because they are told that by 9 o'clock, which is 3/4 of an hour, not only are we going to take 17 degrees, but a cloudless sky. And that cloudless sky is going to carry on for most of the morning until about morning coffee time, when the temperature will have reached 18 degrees and a little bit of fluffy cloud. And that is the story of the day. Gaps of an hour or more with brilliant sunshine. And then as the day progresses, we will have fluffy clouds, but they will be fluffy clouds and they will move on. And they will leave us exposed to the sun at 20 degrees and a clear sky at night. It's a really burst of very nice sunshine at 6 o'clock. Not a bad day, really. Not a bad day, all in all. Well, that's that's the weather and the news front pages. What we got for you in a minute? We've got a minute, no, 10 minutes actually. We've got the two Bs to take us through the morning, and with their particular type of humour, it's badly needed. Let me just adjust the camera a little bit. We've had a strange week, I think, in the UK. There's been a shocking headline every day, but I think that the one that is playing on everybody's minds is that the rail link between London and Manchester is not going to go ahead. Now, I didn't quite understand the headline, but let's take a look at it again. That said that right, okay. The two stories associated with that is in the Daily Telegraph, Starmer will not bring HS2 back to life. But there's another one that I didn't really quite understand. So let's take a second look at it. In the Sunak speech, HS2 may never reach Euston without private funding. So even with what's left of it to do without that northern link, it's financial problems. And Sunak says the line may not even reach the London link. The Prime Minister's pledge is if the money cannot now be raised, high-speed train services will permanently terminate at Old Oak Common, 6 miles away from their intended destination in central London. Questions over the Prime Minister's new Network North transport project after he promised to reopen the Leenside line. It's Leenside, yes. Leenside line in Northumberland is downgraded to vague commitments to look into it. Starmer won't save high-speed train line to Manchester if Labour wins power in the next government. And the government bought a £1.5 million house on old HS2 route line 24 hours before Sunak cancelled it. That's typical of government, isn't it? It cannot back off. It does silly things like that. Because civil servants are civil servants and they go by procedures. And once a procedure is put in place, stopping it is like putting your finger, like the little boy putting his finger in the dike. It only saves it to a trickle, and then eventually the dam goes dry. The other interesting story there is that the Italian Prime Minister is now joining Rishi Sunak in his concern about immigrants. The two countries are beginning to wake up is the wrong thing. I think they've been aware for quite some time that the illegal immigrant status is a crisis. And while we all bend over backwards to be do-gooders and to make sure that we're being hospitable, there comes a time in the life of any country where they must look after their own. And it seems to me that one of the things that is happening as a result of lockdown and so on and so forth, it's brought into focus the fact that we need to look after our own from illegal immigrants. And almost anybody at the moment who lands on the shores of Britain needn't fear that they're going to be stuck in a holding pattern. They are actually going to be looked after by Sunak, even though, generally speaking, the consensus amongst the populace is that these poor people have got to be looked after one way or another. And maybe they have, but we have to be very careful that we don't actually cut up our nose to spite our face. I'm afraid that that can be a bit silly, but people argue themselves into funny positions based on wanting to appear to be nice people. And I suppose one understands that if we don't actually get this economy particularly sorted out fairly, very quickly, then we are going to find ourselves in those instances, with those problems. It's not a bad thing. I'm a great believer in show and tell. It's much better than training as such. But I think that immigration as such, we've got a fair immigration policy if you actually don't look at the crisis. But unfortunately, the fear of, and in fact, the actuality of being overwhelmed by a whole group of people with different culture, different wine. Very, very difficult. Okay, right. Those are the headlines. That's that's what's going on in the world. As usual, pretty grim reading, and particularly disturbing. And I'm sorry to return to it. Is the question of these nurses let loose in in wards without anybody having any idea that they are slowly having their own way of curing people, and that is by bumming them off. I have to say that the one thing that crosses my mind is I've only ever been in a private hospital. I was actually working for the Americans, so I was given a pretty healthy insurance uh, for such things. It was in the Nuffield Hospital, I think, and it's somewhere between Lewes and Brighton on the coast. And I was admitted, and I went into the room. What do you call it? Anyway, my patient's room, the hospital room, and a very nice nurse officiously helped me undress and so on and so forth. And then when I got onto the bed to wait to be rolled to the operating theatre, she said, now I'm going to give you a couple of things to read through, and if you would mark with a cross where you want it. She said, first, here's the wine list. lying in bed in a hospital bed, waiting to go actually it was that awful issue of having a tube stuck up your bum with a little camera on it, so they can take a look at the ulcer situation and so on. So you're sort of not hurting just yet. Wait for it. And I was given this wine list, and a good wine list it was. So, I mean, I hadn't stinted on there. Now, what are you doing, Keith, in a private hospital? People may say. Well, um, basically, I was given uh, insurance by oh, my employer, who were Americans, and whatever this hospital insurance was all about, it didn't bother me. I wasn't paying for it. But the mere fact that you guys offered the wine list first, and then, as I recall, a menu with fairly decent fare on it. So if you go private, as they say, going in hospital can be an absolute pleasure. But is the, the whole issue of trust in your carers is a real one, and I don't know whether nurses, such as the one that is now currently on trial, presently on trial, whether we can discover what's going through their minds and stop it. It is a very difficult one, very difficult indeed. I think that that's about as much as we can talk about. To right. Um, digest what's in the morning paper. So I think I'm just going to put you on hold for a little while and get the two Bs, Richard and Philip, into the studio so that they can give us the benefit of their wisdom and their humor. So let's just say toodle pip for 2 or 3 minutes, and we will be back. Bye.